The year was 1846, and the sun over Sakarya was a cruel, unblinking eye. For months, the rains had failed, leaving the earth cracked like shattered pottery. Asha stood at the edge of her family's barren field, her fingers tracing the dry, hollow husks of wheat that had withered before they could even sprout. The air was thick, with the scent of dust and the quiet desperation of a village that had forgotten the taste of a full meal. "Even the birds have stopped singing," she whispered, her voice a raspy shadow of itself. Inside their small stone hut, Mert lay on a threadbare rug, his ribs visible beneath his thin shirt. He was only 12, but the famine had aged him, carving hollows beneath his eyes. Asha knelt beside him, offering a cup of lukewarm water, the last of their supply. "The elders say the river is receding further every day, Mert," she said softly, brushing a stray lock of hair from his forehead. Mert clutched the cup with trembling hands, his gaze fixed on the empty rafters where bundles of food used to hang. A heavy knock splintered the silence. Sevket, the village's wealthiest landholder, stood in the doorway, his silk sash a mockery of the rags worn by everyone else. He leaned against the frame, a ledger tucked under his arm. "Your father's debt doesn't disappear just because the rain did, Asha," he sneered, his eyes scanning the sparse room for anything of value. "If the harvest is truly dead, I'll be taking the land itself by the next moon." That evening, the sky underwent a terrifying transformation. The horizon didn't turn orange or red, it bruised into a deep, sickly violet. Asha stepped outside as a strange, whistling wind began to whip through the valley. It wasn't the hot breath of the desert, but something cold and electric. "Mert, look at the clouds!" she called out. The clouds weren't moving with the wind. They were swirling in place, forming a massive, shimmering vortex directly above the village of Sakarya. Then it began to fall. It wasn't rain, and it wasn't snow. Small, grayish-white pellets, the size of peas, tumbled from the heavens in a rhythmic clatter against the hard earth. Mert scrambled out of the hut, his weakness forgotten for a moment in the face of the impossible. He reached out a hand, and a dozen of the strange seeds bounced into his palm. It's raining bread?" he stammered, his eyes wide as he watched the ground turn white. Asha picked up one of the pellets, examining it closely. It was light, almost like a dried lichen, with a faint, sweet aroma that reminded her of wild honey and toasted flour. She remembered the old legends the grandmother used to tell, the Kudret Bogdai, the power wheat, sent by the heavens in times of great need. She bit into one. It was firm but dissolved into a rich, nutty paste. "It's real," she breathed, tears finally breaking through. "It's a miracle." She hurried back to Mert, who was already gathering the fallen grain into the hem of his shirt. Asha took a handful and pressed it into his hand. "Eat, Mert." "Slowly," she cautioned, though her own stomach was cramping with hunger. They sat together on the cooling earth, the sky still raining down the divine sustenance. For the first time in months, the sound of chewing replaced the sound of labored breathing. The power wheat was filling them with a warmth that felt like more than just calories. The miracle didn't stay a secret for long. By dawn, the village square was a chaotic scene of joy and greed. Sevket arrived with 2 large carts and a group of hired men, barking orders to shovel the grain into his own sacks. "This fell on village commons, and as the headman, I claim it for redistribution," he shouted, though everyone knew the grain would only find its way into his private silos. He pointed his cane at a group of women, pushing them away from a particularly thick drift of the manna. Asha stepped forward, her shovel planted firmly in the ground like a spear. She stood between Sevket's men and a group of starving children. "The heavens didn't send this for your ledger, Sevket," she cried out, her voice ringing across the square. "This is the Kudret Bogdai. It belongs to those who hunger, not those who hoard." The villagers, emboldened by the food in their bellies and Asha's fire, began to close in, their faces grim and determined. The rain lasted for 3 days, providing enough grain to sustain Sakarya until the true rains finally returned to heal the soil. The legend of 1846 would be told for generations, the year the sky fed the people. Asha and Mert stood on their hill once more, watching the first green shoots of their own wheat break through the mud. The memory of the celestial bread remained, a reminder that even in the deepest drought, hope can fall from the clouds.